Here's something almost nobody is talking about. As of January 1st this year, if you earn more than $150,000, the government quietly took away your choice. Your catch-up contributions can no longer go in pre-tax. They now have to go into a Roth account, whether you want that or not. So while the entire internet has spent the last decade arguing about whether you should choose a Roth IRA, the tax code just made that decision for a chunk of Americans without anyone asking. That should tell you something about what's really going on here. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Aaron. Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about IRAs today, honestly, without the hype, because I think this is one of the most misunderstood corners of personal finance advice out there. Picture two coworkers, same salary, same age, they eat lunch together most days. Rachel just opened a Roth IRA last month because a video told her that's what responsible adults do. She felt good about it, checked a box, moved on with her day. Priya has a genuinely excellent 401k with a strong employer match, and she has never opened an IRA in her life. Not once. On paper, Rachel looks like she's doing the responsible thing, and Priya looks like she's missing something. 5 years from now, one of them will have actually made the smarter financial move for her situation. It's probably not who you'd guess just from that description. Keep them both in mind, because we're coming back to them by the end of this video. Let's start with a reality check. Individual retirement accounts are fairly common in America. About 44% of households own one. That's the good news. Nearly half of us have one sitting somewhere. Here's the less good news. Among all US adults, only somewhere around 5 to 10% max one out in a given year. Even among people who already have an IRA, only about 15 to 25% actually hit the annual limit, and the contribution data gets even more striking when you look at the median instead of the average. Fidelity reported the median IRA contribution in a recent year was around $700. The average was around $600, pulled up by a smaller group of people contributing a lot more. That's against a limit of $7,000, or $8,000 if you're over 50. So most IRA owners are contributing something, just leaving a substantial amount of tax-sheltered room sitting on the table every single year. Why? A few reasons. Some people are prioritizing their 401k instead. Others are dealing with a mortgage, childcare, student loans, or high-interest debt. And honestly, coming up with $583 a month, which is what maxing out a $7,000 IRA works out to, is genuinely hard for a lot of households. That's real money, not pocket change. So when someone tells you to just max out your Roth IRA, understand that's not a small ask for most Americans. But that's not really the point of this video either, so let's keep going. Here's something we don't talk about enough, and it completely reframes how you should think about IRAs. The vast majority of money sitting in traditional IRAs today didn't get there from people diligently contributing every month or every year for decades. It got there from rollovers. Best estimates suggest somewhere between 70 and 90% of all traditional IRA dollars started out as rollovers from workplace plans, mostly old 401ks from previous jobs people no longer work at. Picture all IRA money in the country as $100 sitting on a table. Roughly 85 of those dollars came from a rollover. Maybe 15 came from someone actually contributing on their own, year after year. So in practice, the IRA is primarily a rollover vehicle, not really a contribution vehicle no matter how it gets marketed. That matters, because the picture we've all been sold, someone diligently building a massive IRA, over 30 or 40 years of steady contributions, just isn't what typically happens in the real world. Most of that money shows up as one big lump sum when someone leaves a job, retires, or consolidates old accounts. To be clear, that's not a knock on IRAs at all. Doing a rollover can be a genuinely great move depending on your situation. It just changes how we should think about the standard advice to go open one and start contributing, because most people simply are not doing that and never really were. So if IRA dollars are mostly rollovers, and most people aren't even hitting the contribution limit anyway, why does the internet treat the Roth IRA like the single most important financial decision of your entire life? There are 3 real reasons, and none of them are really about you. First, IRAs are a consumer product, and 401ks are a workplace benefit. You can't shop around for your 401k, your employer already picked it for you, take it or leave it. But you can open an IRA at Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab in about 15 minutes from your couch, and that means the content around it can carry an affiliate link. Personal finance and investing content happens to be one of the highest paying niches in the entire affiliate marketing world, with creators in that space earning several $1,000s a month on average, and some considerably more than that. 401k content simply can't generate that kind of revenue because there's no account to click open and sign up for at the end of the video. Money follows eyeballs, and eyeballs follow content people can actually act on immediately. And this isn't some small side hustle either. Affiliate marketing spending in the US is now measured in the billions of dollars a year, and it keeps growing by double digits annually. That's the machine quietly sitting behind a lot of the advice you've been fed. Second, Roth IRAs make for a genuinely better headline. Tax-free money in retirement, that's a great hook. It sounds like a cheat code. Tax-deferred growth in your 401k kind of sounds like a disclaimer nobody wants to actually read. It's basically the same underlying concept, just wrapped in wildly different emotional language, and the better headline wins nearly every single time. Third, the rules around Roth IRAs are genuinely, legitimately confusing, which creates an almost endless supply of content. Income limits, the backdoor Roth, the pro rata rule, the 5-year rule, withdrawal ordering, conversion strategies, inherited IRA rules. You could publish something new about this account every single week for years and never run out of material. Despite getting a fraction of the attention that Roth IRAs get, 401ks usually matter far more financially to the average working American, and here's the irony in that. For 2026, the IRA limit is $7,500. The 401k limit is $24,500, plus catch-up contributions if you're 50 or older. The 401k builds the bulk of most people's actual retirement wealth. The Roth IRA just gets the bulk of the headlines, the videos, and the search results. Now let's actually build the case for the IRA, because it absolutely can be a great tool, and I don't want this video to come across as bashing it. First, the tax benefits are real. A traditional IRA gives you a deduction today and tax-deferred growth after that. A Roth gives you no deduction now, but tax-free growth and tax-free withdrawals later in life. Over decades, that compounds meaningfully. $7,500 a year for 30 years at an 8% average return works out to roughly $850,000. And being able to shelter that growth from dividends and capital gains along the way adds up more than people expect. Second, an IRA can give you investment freedom your workplace plan simply doesn't offer. This is basically Rachel's situation if her 401k turns out to be mediocre, a limited fund menu, high expense ratios, maybe no ETFs available at all. And honestly, some workplace plans really are that disappointing. An IRA at a place like Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab can offer ultra low-cost index funds, ETFs, individual bonds, and a lot more control over what you actually own. Third, having a mix of taxable, pre-tax, and Roth money gives you real flexibility to manage your tax bracket year by year once you're retired, control Medicare surcharges called IRMA, and manage how much of your Social Security benefit actually gets taxed. That kind of flexibility can be worth a meaningful amount of money over a long retirement. Fourth, having a separate account labeled specifically for retirement can genuinely improve your savings behavior. This is called mental accounting, and it's a real, well-documented psychological effect. How we label money changes how we treat it. Here's where I want to push back on the conventional wisdom, and this is where Priya comes back into the picture. If you already have an excellent 401k, low-cost institutional index funds, strong employer match, maybe even mega backdoor Roth access or an HSA option on top of it, then obsessing over opening a Roth IRA might be completely unnecessary for you specifically. Some employer plans genuinely are that good, sometimes with institutional share classes cheaper than anything you'd ever find in a retail IRA, and a lot of people don't realize that's even possible. And here's something the Roth IRA crowd rarely mentions: liquidity. Money inside a retirement account is more locked up than people give it credit for. If you're building toward a home purchase, starting a business, pursuing early retirement before 59 and a half, or just want a bigger emergency cushion than usual, a plain taxable brokerage account might actually serve you better than either kind of IRA, and taxable accounts are more tax efficient than most people assume, which is a hill I will happily die on. Say you invest $5,000 a year in a broad index fund, something like Vanguard's S&P 500 ETF, ticker VUU. It has an expense ratio of just 0.3%, meaning you pay about $3 a year for every $10,000 invested, basically nothing. Assume an 8% annual return after expenses and a 1.15% dividend yield, which is roughly in line with what broad index funds have historically produced, taxed at the 15% qualified dividend rate. In year 1, your tax bill is under $9. By year 5, with about $29,000 invested, you owe roughly $51. By year 10, around $72,000 invested, your tax bill is about $125. By year 20, a balance near $228,000. You're looking at about $395. By year 30, your portfolio has grown to roughly $611,000, and your annual tax drag is about $1,055. Which is still only around 0.17% of the portfolio's total value, barely more than the fund's own expense ratio. Your original contributions are never taxed again since they were already after-tax dollars going in, and your actual gains get long-term capital gains rates when you eventually sell, which could be 0, 15, or 20% depending on your income that year. There's even a step up in basis if the account passes to your heirs. Taxable brokerage accounts are seriously underrated in most personal finance content. One more caveat before we get to priorities, because I don't want anyone taking the wrong lesson from all this. If someone still has credit card debt sitting at 24% interest, no emergency fund to speak of, and hasn't even captured their full employer match yet, I would not tell them to go max out an IRA first, Roth or otherwise. The math simply doesn't support that order of operations, no matter how good the account is in isolation. Optimization only helps when you're optimizing the right thing at the right time. Before we get to the priority list, I want to bring up an account that gets even less credit than the IRA does, the HSA. Recent data suggests only about 23% of Americans who have access to an HSA actually use it with retirement in mind, and only around 3 in 10 people invest the money sitting inside it. Most just leave it parked in cash, earning almost nothing. That's honestly a shame, because the HSA is the only account in the entire tax code with a genuine triple tax advantage. Contributions reduce your taxable income going in, growth inside the account is completely tax-free, and withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are tax-free too. No other account stacks all three of those benefits at once. For 2026, the contribution limit is $4,400 for individual coverage and $8,750 for family coverage. There's no use it or lose it rule like a flexible spending account. The money just stays and grows for decades if you let it, and after age 65, you can withdraw it for any reason at all, taxed like a traditional IRA at that point. If you're eligible for one through a high deductible health plan, it often deserves a serious look before your IRA does, not as an afterthought. So where does the IRA actually belong in your financial priority stack? I like to think of it as 3 tiers. Tier 1 is almost non-negotiable. These are the things you handle before anything else even enters the conversation. Capture your full employer match first. That's an instant 50 to 100% return on your money before you've invested a single dollar anywhere else. Nothing else comes close to that. Then pay off high interest debt. Anything sitting above roughly 7 or 8% interest is working against you faster than most investments can work for you. Then build a real emergency fund. Nothing else really matters at scale until those 3 pieces are actually handled. Tier 2 is where the IRA lives, and it's competing against some genuinely strong alternatives for your next dollar. If you're eligible for an HSA, that often comes first for the reasons we just covered. The triple tax advantage is hard to beat, then your IRA or Roth IRA. Then any additional 401k contributions beyond the match, assuming you actually like your plan's fund options. Tier 3, once tiers 1 and 2 are fully covered, is taxable brokerage investing, extra mortgage payoff, real estate, and other alternatives depending on your goals. The key insight is that the IRA sits in tier 2. It's valuable, it's worth prioritizing, but it's often not tier 1. And for some people with excellent workplace plans, skipping it entirely can be a perfectly smart decision. The one exception, if you don't have access to a workplace retirement plan at all, the IRA should move straight up to tier 1 for you, since it's the best tool you've got available. So back to Rachel and Priya. Rachel's 401k turns out to be mediocre, limited funds, higher fees, so her new Roth IRA is a genuinely smart upgrade for her. Priya's 401k is excellent, low cost, strong match, so skipping the IRA and funneling extra money into that plan instead makes just as much sense for her. Neither one of them is wrong. They're just optimizing for 2 completely different situations. And that's really the whole point. The IRA isn't a must-have account. It's a must-consider account. And there's a real difference between those 2 things. The reason the Roth IRA dominates personal finance content has almost nothing to do with how universally important it is, and almost everything to do with the fact that it's clickable, it resonates emotionally, and it's easy to build a business around. And remember that rule change we opened with, the one quietly pulling high earners toward Roth accounts starting this year whether they asked for it or not. The direction of travel is pretty clear either way you look at it. Roth is becoming more woven into the system by default, which makes it even more important that you're choosing it on purpose for your own situation rather than by default because a video told you to. So take a real look at your own numbers, your 401k, your income, your existing debt, your actual goals, and decide from there before someone or something else quietly decides for you the way it already has for some higher earners this year. What do you think? Is a Roth IRA a must-have for everyone, or is it more situation dependent like I'm arguing here? Tell me in the comments, I read all of them. If you got something out of this, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you know someone who's been feeling guilty about not maxing out their IRA, send this their way. It might take some pressure off. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.